Thanks, Augusta. So welcome to the Dane Arts Grant panel, and thank you for serving as 2025 Cycle 2 advisory panelists. The Dane Arts Commission is committed to making our county stronger by supporting citizens, groups, and organizations that preserve our shared heritage and create arts and cultural opportunities for residents and visitors. Our mission is to engage participation, connect people, and inspire expressive living in Dane County. I'm Mary Claire. I'm a teacher and teacher educator with UW-Madison and the Madison School District. I'm in my third term as a Dane Arts Commissioner, and I have an arts background in classical and folk music and also educational theater for children and young adults. And I will introduce ourselves in a second, but I just want to extend the greetings and gratitude of our chair, Rod Richardson, who is always so appreciative, we all are, of you in helping us think about these grants. So I think what we'll do is have everyone just briefly introduce themselves. If you could share your name, your role, and your advisory panel experience with Dane Arts, that would be wonderful. And Carol, I'm just going to have us start with you since you are the most familiar person to me on this panel.
I'm Carol Cohen. I have been reviewing Dane Arts grants since the dawn of time. I have a theater background and I am an ex-academic. I did teach drama as literature. And yeah, I've gotten a chance to do so many different areas now that we aren't assigned one specific one. So I'm very glad about that.
Thank you, Carol. How about you, Ben?
Hey, my name is Ben. So yes, I'll be a reviewer today. And this is my second time doing the grant review. So my experience, I'm theater performer usually. So I've worked with a lot of the local community theater groups for about 10 years. Madison Shakespeare Company, Madison Theater Guild, a lot of those. Improviser with Monkey Business Institute. I'm a director producer for Lucid Dreaming Sketch Comedy. So I have some experience with producing a show and understand what goes into like talking with venues, marketing, things like that.
Thank you, Ben.
Excited to be here. Thanks.
Good to have you. Lena.
Hello. Hello, everyone. This is my first time reviewing on a panel. Thank you for having me. My name is Lena Ugrin. I am originally from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I am a mural artist, international mural artist. I live in Madison Sun Prairie area. I am also a founder and director of brand new Sun Prairie Mural Fest. That's about it. Thank you for having me.
I got a chance to see that, Lena. That was amazing.
Thank you.
So, Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy Owen. I run Beatrix Productions. I am primarily an aerial dancer for my arts world. I have put on maybe like 8 different shows now. So also kind of gained a little bit of experience in what it takes to run a venue and promote things and the challenges of being a scrappy little independent person, not actually affiliated with any nonprofits or anything like that, just trying to put your ideas out in the world. My husband is a public sculptor, so I've been familiar with public arts and the process of things for quite some time. And in my day job, I am a professional evaluator. I have a PhD in educational psychology and another master's in counseling, which kind of informs a lot of layers in how I end up creating things. And this is my very first time on the panel, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Amy. Thank you. And Rachel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel. I work over at the Madison Symphony Orchestra. I'm their manager of grants and sponsorships. So I have some experience doing grant writing for these Dane Arts grants. And this will be my third time serving on a panel. So seen both sides of the process here.
And I think we probably all know Augusta, but do you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Augusta. I'm the Dane Arts Cultural Affairs Specialist. I've been working with Dane Arts since 2021, so I've seen a number of these panels And they're always fascinating. I always learn a lot hearing you all discuss these applications. So I'm really grateful and honored to work with all of you, and I look forward to today.
Good. So you'll see in the chat, I think that's the correct number, right? So in case of technical difficulties, just take a second and you can text Augusta if you need anything. Would you like people's cell phone numbers right now, Augusta, in case you need to reach out to anyone?
Sure. Let me see if I have.
If you want to just send her a text with your name, that would be
Oh,
great.
actually, let me
No?
pop mine. That's actually my office number, which you
Oh,
can call, but the text won't go
okay.
through.
All right. Let
Um,
us
I'll
know
put
your,
it in.
yeah.
I'll send it to you right now. Yeah, we've been lucky so far with technology. And Ben and Carol, I have your numbers.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thanks.
So I'm going to walk us through some information and tell you how this is going to work, and then we're going to do it. And then I'm going to check and see if you have any feedback for us and just get your impressions on how the process went. So thank you for being here again. And it looks like some of you are experienced, some of you are new to this, which is a wonderful combination of people to have, and also your backgrounds and your experiences. By now, you've read the online applications that were assigned to you in web grants. You've taken notes on each application regarding how each proposal aligns with the review criteria. We determine our funding based mainly on your opinions. So it's critical that you're fair, deliberate, and attentive to detail, and we found that always to be the case, and we appreciate that. As you know, it's not an easy task for all groups to submit a full grant proposal. Many are written by volunteers who already work full-time jobs. Others are written by people who've written many grants. So we know that we'll see a range in that. And we try to just take that into account and not let that impact too much whether we feel it has merit for receiving money. We don't want to unduly jeopardize those who may be new to writing grants, but we do have criteria for judging the merit of the proposals. So the following criteria, which you're familiar with, are applied in the grant review process for Dane Arts. And that's quality and creativity of the proposed project, the level of community impact and public benefit, evidence of thorough and realistic financial planning, and the ability of applicant to successfully complete the project. We're also thinking about the impact of the grant award to the overall success of the project. Will it make a difference? Often the requests, I'm just going to say always, the requests are for more dollars than we have to allocate. So your attention to each application is critical to the success of the grant program. We do plan again to award a minimum of $500 to all eligible fundable applications. So we have that threshold, and people can count on that, and we'll build on that. Thank you for being fair and deliberate and honoring the work that produces art and meaningful arts experiences for Dane County residents. So those of you who've done this, you've heard this before. Those of you who are new, here's how this process works. I will introduce each review, and I will name the organization, the ID number, and the amount requested. And then we have someone assigned as the primary reviewer. You will lead the discussion by offering a brief overview of the proposal, the strengths and weaknesses as they apply to the sections, comments on whether the budget and supplemental materials and supporting documents are in order, and you offer your overall assessment on the quality and feasibility of implementing and completing the proposed project. The secondary reviewer will add any additional information and your opinion as well, and then we'll open up the discussion for a few minutes to anyone else who wants to add comments. We've allotted about 10 minutes for each review and for all of these steps to happen. Not everyone has to speak about every application, but if you have something you'd like to say, we'd love to hear it. Immediately following the discussion, we reserve the last few minutes for you to score. And ideally, and Augusta will ask you to please submit your scores and notes. So by the end of our session today, we want everything to be done and submitted. If you need to be recused, and I don't think we have anyone who does, is that right, Augusta? I'm not seeing any indication that anyone needs to be recused today. If you do,
No.
let me, okay. We have a process for that, but we will skip over that. Before we dismiss, we'll ask that everyone finish completing and submitting all their evaluations. My role is just to keep an eye on process and time. I am not a discussant, and I won't offer my own opinion on any of the applications. I'll be listening for your insights and your recommendations, and I will share those with the commission, so you'll see me taking notes. Augusta will also be taking notes. And it's recorded, so we're well covered there. Observers may be present. This is a public meeting. We do have one attendee right now. And our meeting is recorded and it's available upon request if anyone would like to listen in. If you have insights or advice for Dane Arts regarding the trends that you notice, comments on the advisory panel process, or observations on the state of the arts in Dane County, we will take those suggestions at the end. And I do want to let you know, Ben and Carol in particular, and Rachel, have you worked with us, Rachel? Yes. We've actually been collecting comments and we're starting to create some possible changes for our grant process. So we take those insights and recommendations seriously, and we're looking at making some changes next year, but we still want to get your impressions at the end. So before we begin, do we have any questions from anyone?
No.
Anything else, Augusta, that you want people to know?
Just that I'm here for technical questions, and then maybe for the first round of submitting in web grants, we'll take it slow and make sure everybody knows how to submit your final scores. But we can talk about that after the discussion. But
Okay.
yeah, that's all. Thanks, Mary.
All right, so we are number one. This is a multidisciplinary arts and culture category. The number is 26458. It is Jeff Oloizia, and he is with Writing Forward, a podcast from writers based in Wisconsin. He is requesting $1,364, which is about a third of his budget. And Carol, you'll be our primary respondent.
Oh, okay. I have some notes, so I'm going to sort of half read, half look, so I don't get off track. This is a first-time applicant with a new project. Points for that in my book, new project. This project is capitalizing on the popularity of the Madison Public Library's Book Festival. Jeff Oloizia is planning a podcast series featuring writers with a Wisconsin connection, and he will host and produce the podcast. 10 podcast episodes celebrating Wisconsin literature will be available on popular platforms, reaching well beyond Dane County. The grant will be used for podcast production, honoraria, and outreach. All kosher. I don't have any concerns about Oloizia's abilities to pull this off. He seems to have experience and background and enthusiasm. So I don't have any questions about the value of preserving and promoting the voices of regional writers. My little concern is that in a very crowded podcast market, will these podcasts be heard without a huge marketing effort? Heard in Dane County, at any rate, which is, yeah. Oloizia says he will pitch the podcast series to various media outlets in Madison. So that's good. I hope that will be sufficient. One last thing. Oh, and he estimates the audience to be 500, which is kind of small for a podcast audience, I think. Maybe he's just hedging his bets. My other concern is that the tentative writers list, and he does say tentative, is largely white and young, and I think that might be limiting the appeal of the project somewhat. That's it.
Thanks. Ben?
Yes, yeah, and I'm always glad to hear, like, Carol say a lot of the things I was noticing as well. So I'll just try and focus on some of the things that were a bit unique there. So yeah, I will say also the 500 attendees kind of stuck out to me too, and I thought it was a little odd. So yeah, maybe that's even like undershooting what could be possible there too. But I think to me, one of the things that really stood out in a positive way was how the supplemental material really supported the plan. So the things that I was wanting to see shown with the application were that this is somebody who is qualified to do this, to do these interviews, to talk with these artists and network with them. And also because so much of the marketing plan, I think, Carol, you identified that as an area of like risk there, hinges around these bookstores. A lot of it's leveraging relationships with these bookstores where you're connecting with other writers or maybe having programs there, or people who love books are going to be there. And I wanted to see that. And you're leading a podcast. So I want to see where's that radio voice? How can you lead that conversation? And so the supplemental material did a great job of highlighting those two things. One was a write-up of excellent published writing and talking about local Madison bookstores specifically. So we can just see that story, that relationship. And also the other item was an interview. So I can get a sense for exactly how this person would present themselves on a podcast and conduct themselves there. So I think that was, those are a couple of things that were strong. I think as far as like areas for improvement, I think like Carol said with the marketing, that's going to be pretty important. Some of the stuff seemed a little out of whack, but it could be I'm missing something with the personal relationships that are getting leveraged with these, like past history with these magazines or websites. And so I would just want to see that laid out in the application if that's going to be happening. But I like some of the radio spots, there's not a budget for it. So how is that happening? You can get some interviews on there, but just I'd want to see more of that plan laid out if that's what's going on. Other things did seem odd, like the stickers being in the same ratio as the flyers was a detail that was interesting to me, of like 100 flyers and 100 stickers. It's like, you're going to have very different ratios, that way more sticker piles everywhere. So I would just want to see a little bit more attention to that. And those are some areas to be thinking about for the future. But overall, I thought a very strong application that convinced me that what we set out to do is going to be possible.
Thanks. Any other comments?
No.
Is it time to chat from the pool? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I'm
Oh.
sorry. Yes.
Great. I did have one question about the budget. It looked like in the narrative, the Riverside FM was described as not being a part of what is being requested in the grant, but I think it might be in the grant column. I just have a note about that in my notes, and if we want to just double check that. So thinking about just a little bit of clarity on the budget. I actually initially wasn't sure if we funded podcasts as part of our art forms. I would prefer if they were Dane County authors, of course, rather than Wisconsin, just thinking about the usage of our funds. But it's possible that many of them live here. I think being left unsure whether or not some of the authors might in fact live in Dane County, or have large Dane County audiences, would have strengthened the application, kind of having a little bit more awareness of what the local focus might be, would be beneficial. I was hoping to, in the supplements, I was hoping to hear him interview someone to get a sense of the interviewing skills. I know they can be different than just regular radio skills or writing skills, which, looked, I experienced them as strong. I definitely would like to hear this person again. And noticing his voice as I was listening, kind of perhaps listened a little bit longer than the requisite amount of time. So I think other people will have a similar experience, and once they start listening, it will be a successful thing that they will want to come back to. I also, I think I wished a little bit that there was a bit more description of the project's purpose beyond just celebrating the state's literary community. Kind of, why now? Like, what's the specific desire you have for using the public money to support our community? Curiosity about a little bit more of that for this project. Thanks.
Amy, the Riverside recording subscription is in the budget. You asked about that in the grant request.
Thank you. So it may have just been, you know how there's the note about the budget description and the budget narrative. So if something in the budget narrative didn't quite match something in the numbers in the columns, sometimes I took note of that in my notes, and I could be incorrect. So just take another look at it. I've opened up my grant portal as well. And I might have also been misunderstanding what he was referring to, so my apologies. But thank you for checking that out.
Any other comments or insights? So what we'll do now is give you a chance to finish up your scoring and submit it. When you're done with that, you could put your Zoom hand up, or just your real hand up, and I'll take note.
Oh yeah, and then I'll note that you can add your scores, save them, and then click the green submit button, and it'll say, are you sure you want to submit? And you'll click yes. And then the application will disappear from your list under my reviews. It'll just go into cyberspace.
Thanks, Augusta.
And just checking one more time, we can submit it right now. That's not going to throw anything off. Okay.
Yes, please do. Thanks for checking. I know I told you 100 times not to submit till the very end, but yes, please do. All right, I got them all. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Okay. So our second one is in the music category. It's 26466, and it's Sondermusik Inc. DBA Samtala, and it's for a winter solstice at Grand Inspired. They are asking $2,500, which is a little over 38% of their budget. And we will start with you, Rachel.
Okay, I have some notes here as well. And sorry, I'm on a laptop and I'm trying to like switch between a bunch of different tabs. So I'm sorry if I seem unorganized.
No problem.
So this is being put on by Sondermusik, who are, I think they're switching their name to Samtala currently. It's going to be 2 concerts on December 21st at the Grand Inspired in Stoughton. They're chamber music concerts, so classical and folk music. And it's on the winter solstice. It's for a voice and string quartet, and it's original music by a local composer called Micah Bear. This is an annual holiday season production that this group puts on, so this is not the first time that they're applying. And it's not the first time that they're organizing this, so it, evokes a lot of confidence that they can pull this off. The grant would cover artistic honoraria for the musicians partially, and also the full cost of the composer for the 50-minute composition. This group is also, they are seeking some additional sources of support. They have one foundation who they're applying for funding from, and they also are planning to get on-site donations at the concerts and some individual donations, it seems like, before they put on these concerts. It's a ticketed event, but the tickets are free, so they're estimating about 200 people will attend, and it seems like that's probably pretty accurate since they've been doing this for a while. As far as strengths go, I wrote down that they had really strong community letters of support and a history of success, so people really seem to value this production. And they had a clear promotional plan, and it seemed to be well thought out. And I also really appreciated that they had both qualitative and quantitative evaluation methods that they listed. And I really liked their work samples. I thought the video work sample in particular was really helpful for understanding what the project would be. And the only weakness I have listed here is that none of their additional sources of support beyond this grant are confirmed at this time. But again, since they've been doing this for so long, I think they're probably counting on those donations and can expect to get them. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Thanks, Rachel. Amy.
Thank you. I too am popping around from, oh, sorry. Do I still have my hand up from when I was submitting? Okay, that was what was happening. I didn't realize my hand was still up from submitting my last grant application. I will let the second person on this speak. I'm not trying to interrupt the process.
You are the second person.
Oh,
Amy.
great. Thank you. I took notes on all of them, so I wouldn't worry about it. For some reason, I didn't have this one listed as my own. I have a really strong sense that what they're doing is pretty innovative because I have been to the location. I just love the idea that you are combining sensory experiences from the smell of the wood and the experience of the auditory notes just floating over you. For folks who haven't been to this particular venue, their suggestion that it creates a sense of community and can be very comforting is quite valid. It's a lovely place to be. I also was excited about the idea that folks who enjoy music are coming to what is an arts business and might also, because they are coming to this supported event, might decide to take classes, begin starting to create art themselves, support a local independent arts business. So I liked the innovation, I thought, and creative usage of the choice of venue. I like the distributed seeking of their different sources of support. I was hoping I'd see a little, I don't think that they have a video from last year in the exact space, but I want to go to this myself. I think it's going to be a good use of things. I really like that it's free also. Stoughton is an underserved area, so I think that's also a strength. And the fact that it's not necessarily religious or commercial at that time is valuable. So I think that makes it a little bit different than some of the other, potential musical submissions for the grants. Again, I think at one point the insurance was listed at 35 and then 30, and audience might have been described as both 200 and 180 in different places. I really thought that the letters spoke highly of what the experience was as an attendee, so that was really helpful. I am curious once again about the number of artists that are from Dane County too. It was a little bit hard to tell from the bios and descriptions. Some of them definitely are. Might not have been all of them. And I think new works are not specifically being commissioned for this performance, but I'm kind of asking the group whether or not that was your impression as well. And this is also because music isn't my area. I may not know what arranged means. So I think part of me is curious about both the presentation of the music, but also is there something new and innovative coming out of the grant for this performance, is a new song being created, or is arrangement in itself a novelty that we should be taking into account with this particular submission that would be out in the world because of the support. Thank you.
Any other comments or observations?
I guess, Amy, just wanted to get clarification on your question too. So you're saying like the value would be different if it's not, if it's a new work versus something previous, or are you looking for insight how other people view that?
Yeah, for me, it's always nice to know if the grant is funding the creation of a new work. So the creation of a new poem, a new play, a new song. Because I'm less familiar with music, should I consider the local arranger also, the creation of new work, work that would not be out there without necessarily having the funding for this particular event.
Sure. Yeah, I can just speak to that from my experience, the way I look at it, if you're looking for other perspectives too. And I feel similarly in the sense that I'm not a musician myself. So yeah, perspective of others be good there too. I generally look at it as whether it's a new work or performing something previously composed or done, it's still creating the art or growing the artist. It's somewhere on that like life cycle of them becoming artists or trying new things. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily a drawback from me. I think what I would probably do is compare that to the goal of what the person said they were setting out to do. If they thought they were going to make new works and they're not, that would be odd. And then it may be just worth pointing out, or if they're not explaining themselves fully there, that's more how I view it. But others probably have different perspectives.
Just to be clear, I don't think it's a drawback if people aren't creating new things. More like an extra layer of icing on the cake for a submission.
Should we take time to score? And Augusta, maybe the most efficient way is for you to let us know when everybody has theirs in. Does that work for you?
That works for me. Yep, I can definitely do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. The scores have been received.
Great. All right, we're on to our third one. This is also multidisciplinary arts and culture, number 26473. This is the Wisconsin Fellowship of Poets for their 2026 Winter Festival of Poetry. They're asking for $1,180, which is 38.56% of their total budget. And we'll start with you, Lena.
All right, so this is an 8-week-long series of poetry readings held on Sunday afternoons between mid-January and mid-March, with having 6 poets each week to share their work. This will be in 2026 a 40th anniversary of the Winter Festival of Poetry, since it has been held in many locations since its inception in 1986, which I think it's really cool that it's been going for that long. I have been, the person, James Roberts, has been the organizer and hosts since 2010. They say that the Madison literary community is extremely diverse, and they do have, the application does present a diverse poets presentation, which I really like. I do like that there's two locations for the events, and one is in Madison, one is in Fitchburg, which is also serving a different audience in Fitchburg. I think that's very beneficial. They are an established event for many, many years, and they have various sources of funding. It seems like they know what they're doing, and it's been a loved event each year. They are, I recommend fully supporting them, since they're the ask for the funding is very modest in my opinion, and the payments for the poets could be higher, but then again, I understand that like they are willing to host this, they're willing to do it for this amount, so that says that they're really excited for this event every year. I think the supplemental material was really great, and one of the persons who submitted one of the letters of recommendation has been doing it for several years, which also means that people keep returning to these events. And one thing that I've noticed that could be better for the next time, this does not, of course, affect the application, as I just want to recommend them to change the flyer, because honestly, it looks like a bake sale a little bit, and it's kind of if I saw it somewhere, I wouldn't even notice that it was poetry night. So I think it would be beneficial for them to just get a better flyer that's more, I guess, eye-catching and talks about more poetry than there was a bunch of pie pictures on it. So I was a little confused there. That's about it. I think it's a really great application, and I recommend full funding in my own personal opinion.
Thank you, Lena.
Mhm.
Carol.
I served on the board of the Wisconsin Poet Laureate Commission for quite a few years. And so I do know, I am familiar with the Wisconsin Fellowship of Poets. On the plus side, I love it that the poetry readings are going to be in 2 taverns, and that being over 8 weeks, the readings being over 8 weeks, I think that's a lot of time to get a potential audience. So that's a big plus for this event. In the application, it said the poets are selected through an invitational process, which wasn't exactly explained in the narrative. And it made me wonder how new and young BIPOC queer poets get into the festival, which I have to say is largely an older roster year after year. The project evaluation, let me skip that, not important. One intended outcome mentioned in the narrative was to increase the awareness of the importance of poetry throughout the community. And that, of course, seems like a laudable goal. But the second part was how poetry can lead to individual and societal changes and improvement. And that seems a little far-fetched for a poetry reading over 8 weeks even. And the other thing that bothered me was the budget a little bit. Well, fundraising. The poets who present are the same ones who support the event with donations, which in itself is not a bad thing. But their small gifts from about $50 to $100 substantially fund the festival. And Dane Arts would be the major funder if desired. And so I think this has been an ongoing issue with WFOP, is their, I want to say resistance, but of course I don't know the motivation, but their inability, I don't know, to do fundraising to support this event. I think to gain wider community support, they could do a better job of seeking funds outside their membership and have it a true, much more broad community event.
Thanks, Carol. Other comments or observations?
Yeah, I had just a few things, and yeah, something I noticed that was just missing is there wasn't much use of the budget narrative section, which can be a really helpful section for explaining or like helping us understand like what was the motivation or thought process behind some of the stuff, or what are they trying to do with it. And so it's a really good thing to just not leave almost empty, because I think it was used to lay out a few other contributions. So as a takeaway for them, it's good to do that. And then the supplemental materials this time were a bit repetitive. So it was a few pictures of the people, and like I know I can recognize, oh, that's Cafe Coda, like, and so that's about what I could get from that. And so I can't get much sense of like, oh, what's the audience like? What's the what else is going on there? So I think thinking about like how they could use the supplemental materials differently could be good. I didn't get much from that. Yeah, and I think other thoughts, like it would be interesting to see different funding sources. Like Cafe Code is a place where you can sell ticketed events, and that can just help like people kind of understand things cost money. So could be something to consider.
Yeah, I did not think this was the strongest proposal in our batch for the reasons you mentioned, Ben.
So I appreciate Ben's comments. I think that's a really good point about the use of the budget narrative, and it stood out to me as well. I had a question about the artistic honoraria of kind of the number of the amount that was going to be given to the poets, but then there was kind of a large other artistic honoraria at the bottom, which was much more substantial. But I was hoping to see the explanation for what that might be used for in the budget. And I wasn't able to quite determine kind of what that other amount might be used for, kind of in comparison to the very modest amount that was going to be given to the poets. I did appreciate the supplemental materials documenting kind of diverse participation. I know that Cafe Coda is a locally owned space, and it's my impression that it's pretty welcoming to a racially and ethnically diverse audience. So I think that part is great, as well as to the choices of venue. I also kind of had curiosity about the invitational process and, you know, how inclusive it was. I think it's probably very difficult to be a poet, and the possibility of having this platform would be highly valued, and be able to add that and get your work out there to connect with people, especially in a live format, because the live readings and the written readings, you know, they're very different experiences, and it's nice that we do have opportunities for live poetry readings in our community. I do value that.
Thanks.
I think that Amy, I believe that what you were saying about the lower budget part, I think there's 6 poets per reading, so 8 times 8 weekends. So I believe that might be the, like, for the rest of them. I don't know why they set it out this way, but it does look confusing. But I believe, maybe I'm wrong, that it's like 6 points per reading, and then the extra is for the rest of the readings. If that makes sense. I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but
That is a good suggestion. Thank you.
All right, take time to score, please. And Augusta, let us know when we're ready.
Thanks, everybody. I see all of your scores.
Great. We are on our fourth grant proposal. This is in the arts and education category. It's 26474. It's the Salon piano series, outreach programs to expand access to classical music. They are requesting $2,625, which is 50% of their budget. And we'll start with you, Ben.
Sure. Thank you. So yeah, I was looking at the Salon piano series. This is a group that's submitted before. So the high level overview of the project is that there's 3 types of concerts going on. They're going to have some master classes where they're going to be connecting these experienced pianists with students that are growing still, but do it in a public space. That public space is going to be the Farley House of Pianos. I think that's just a relationship that is a big part of this project. That's where the pianos are coming from, where they're renting them from. That's going to be the space for one of the concerts. It does look like they're pretty heavily involved in the project, which I think is good for the security of the project, of it coming through, because they already have that relationship established. Kind of makes sense that they would want to be growing more pianists in the future. The second type of concert would be these house concerts. So as described, it sounds like they're going to be held at people's homes. I think there's not a lot of detail yet about where those would be, like what area of town, like whose homes, who those partners are, or like, it says like maybe 25 seats, but I don't have 25 chairs myself. So like, are they renting chairs? Like what does that house concert look like? I think some of that detail wasn't there. And then there's going to be some, but the intended audience would be a paid audience who are willing and eager to pay for a concert like that. I think with those house concerts, one of the unique benefits is that it's going to provide this bridge of experience for somebody who has maybe done some public performances before, but they're not yet independently a professional pianist out there. So it's going to give them that bridging experience to get there, which does seem very valuable. The third type of concert would be these outreach concerts. Those would be partnerships with schools. It sounds like, I didn't see the specific schools listed. I think from some of the supplemental materials, I could see some of the schools they've worked with in the past, and looks like some of the times are even like, it's like 1:48 p.m. So I think this is during the school day, but I had to kind of infer some of that. So that was not really laid out for me of how that relationship works. Like, are the students, this is what 5th period is for the students? So they have to be there? Are they choosing to go there? Like, are their parents bringing them there? Like, I couldn't quite picture all that, and I could infer some of it too, but I want to see that laid out for me, I think, and a little bit more clearly, like in understanding this and understanding like what are the students getting out of this. Yeah, so those were like the 3 main types of concerts. I think something I really liked about that is that I'm a big fan of not trying to make a Swiss Army knife. So you have things that are designed for different purposes. I think that's good to tailor a concert to different purposes, different types of audience, different types of artists at different phases of their career. That's great. I think a weakness of that is that it makes it less cohesive as a project overall. It just kind of feels like funding an entire block of programming for this group, and it's less clear like, oh, that's the project that this got off the ground or made happen. And so that part is less compelling for me, I think, because it just you can't point to one project or one difference that was made there. Looking for other things I want to cover. So yeah, it looks like the way they've laid out the funds is that it's intended to cover some of the performer honoraria and the piano rental. I think the way I usually look at these budgets is that all the money's fungible for the project anyway. So like what they're listing there is less of like, what is this grant covering, like to my interpretation, and more what's kind of first on the chopping block as far as like, if they didn't get their full money, like what's likely to go away, because they could always just move the money around like in the budget and like later on anyway. So I think, but yeah, I think those things do seem fine to focus on and cover, and they could probably move some of that around. Yeah, so just kind of recapping some of the strengths, it does look like a lot of artists are going to get impacted. I do like seeing like the different, I think again, like the life stages of an artist addressed there. That's great. And the design of having different concerts is good. The supplemental material really got the point across. I could see like, okay, these are the students. I think moving on to some of the areas for improvement, things are unclear to me. So for the master classes, it was very unclear, like, how do students get connected? Are these students who already have like private lesson teachers? Like, if that's the case, like, are we really getting to all the underserved students? Like what does that look like? And so if this is just like more education for them, that's not as strong to me as like if all kinds of different students or through the school or something that's a little more equitable there for access to that. I think, yeah, I would still like to see some of the logistics made more clear because there's no budget item for some of that. Like what is like seats and refreshments at these house concerts look like? The ticketing from the house concerts is in the budget, but like none of the expenses are there. And then you might have some really very amenable, friendly hosts for those concerts, but like I don't know that it should come straight out of their pocketbook necessarily for that. Like, so just want to, because, and that's also risky, like if there's miscommunication there. So we'd just like to see it in the budget. Yeah, and I think those were some of the main things I saw there.
Thanks, Ben. Rachel.
Yeah, I had a lot of the same thoughts as Ben. One that really stuck out to me was it does seem like there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different components to this series, and it's not really clearly laid out how each component works, and the programming for each component and how they all kind of tie together. So I would have liked to see a little bit more on that front. In terms of strengths that I saw, clearly this program has had a lot of like large impact on the students who've participated, particularly the piano students who have performed at the house concerts. I noticed that both of the letters of support were from parents of past participants, but that I think leads into a weakness that I would have liked to see a letter of support from an audience member or from someone who hosted a house concert or someone with a little bit of a different experience with this program. And it would have also been really nice to have a different kind of work sample, a video or an audio, just so we could hear the quality of programming. I really appreciated that there were both free and ticketed opportunities to engage with this. I thought that was a strong point. Then the budget was a little bit unclear to me. It seems like they're really relying heavily on getting Dane Arts funding. There was a point in the budget narrative that said if Dane Arts does not fully fund the request, or if the projected house concert revenue doesn't meet expectations, then the project will be supported through private donations and ticket revenue from their regular series, their regular concert series. But then that wasn't included in the breakdown of the budget. So I felt like I needed more detail there, or like how much revenue were they expecting to need to contribute from these other sources. And then one more thing that I would have liked to see was that all of their evaluation methods were purely qualitative. And it was kind of unclear what feedback they were soliciting from participants. And I was getting the sense that there were a lot of buzzwords being thrown around, especially in that evaluation section, and not a lot of substance behind them. So I would like to see a little bit more about how they're measuring the impact of this program.
Thanks. Other comments or observations from folks?
I want to echo what Rachel said about ticket sales being the only source of income, and that the project is relying on Dane Arts for half its funding. But I also just want to add that the ticket price at $35 is high enough, I think, to deter some families from being able to attend. And so that's problematic for me, especially when there aren't any other sources of income listed in the budget.
Carol, I too noticed the ticket price. And it took me a little bit, but eventually in there I read that people are able to attend the concert at the retirement home, even if you are not a resident at the retirement home. So that was kind of buried in there, that anyone in the public can come to the Capitol Lakes concert, in case that is an additional layer of information for you.
Oh, I was thinking more of the master class and the private home one. I mean, the Capitol Lakes concert is for the people who live at Capitol Lakes. I'm pretty sure they're not going to advertise much beyond that.
That might be true. You might have to really know someone there in order to know what's happening. I know that they do some promotion of some of their components on WORT, but I don't know if that's been one of them. Question.
I think to that point, they do say that the master classes are free to the public. So that $35, I think, is just for the house concerts.
For the house concerts. Okay.
I'm also curious about the house concerts part. Is it, I don't know if it's too skewed towards established classical music patrons. And how is this beneficial? I know it would be beneficial for the artists playing music, but I'm just curious about, like, it's very small and kind of like not, I don't know, not accessible, it feels like it, while to other the school outreach seems really awesome. So the kids have access, the kids who never even heard classical music could have access to it. So I love that part, but I'm just curious about the house concerts a bit more, and how is that beneficial to the general public?
Please feel free to add suggestions onto your responses. They will go to people and they'll be able to see what you're proposing to make their grant proposal stronger in the future, or to maybe help them think differently about some things. Why don't we take some time to score?
Great, scores have been received. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. So the fifth one is category visual arts, ID 26485. This is Rebecca Kautz, Beyond O'Keeffe, Contemporary Artists in Wisconsin, asking $2,300, which is nearly 47% of the budget. And we'll start with you, Amy.
Great. Okay, so this project would be hosting a visual arts exhibition in I think a mixed use residential building, and Rebecca Kautz did it already this year in 2025, so this would be the second time it's happening. So that's some good evidence that this person can create the exhibition, having done it once before. It will be an 8-week exhibition with artists from Wisconsin, so statewide focus, not necessarily Dane County focus, so there's overlap there, obviously. And it's being held during the Mural Fest, and I really like leveraging the choice of timing with that and the tourism that will occur. More is more. People really like coming from more than one activity, especially when it's in a similar category. I think visual arts fans will be excited to come to one format and then stay for the next format. So I think that was another strength of this proposal. kind of making sure to draw on the folks who are coming for that. This applicant kind of described a pretty high population in Sun Prairie, but really low visual arts community, and that in that way it is an underserved area for this particular area of the arts, which made sense. I don't know too much about the venue that's being chosen. I love that it's free, and just kind of thinking about many ways that things can be accessible. Don't know if it's on a bus line or if it's ADA accessible. But there's lots of ways in which, kind of peeking at some of the photos, I'm thinking about how everyone can be present for it. So again, 8 weeks is a good chunk of time for folks to be able to have a chance to come and see it. I was curious a little bit, kind of, there was a description of a goal to develop an arts economy in Sun Prairie, which felt very large, felt very grand for a smaller, discrete project. But as I read through it a little bit, it seems clear that this applicant does have some pretty strong relationships between some of the visual arts advocates in Sun Prairie. The supplemental materials spoke to support from the city and community partners. So it's perhaps that goal is actually already on the way to being met. I thought that the evaluation methods were pretty strong. It's possible that you can really only measure kind of the excitement and perceived quality of the exhibit listed as goals. And essentially, for me, I'm an evaluator professionally. So if there's a goal listed, I tend to want it evaluated, but I need to pull that back a little bit. I am curious if, maybe it could have been strengthened by adding a rating from the partners then on how developed the goal of their sustainable framework plan was coming along. But, I think that's frosting on the cake there. Budget seemed strong and clear. I really appreciated the explanation of the hours for how much it took to kind of put it on last time, explaining why the estimate was made of the amount of hours, and the hourly pay being listed for that. So kind of doing the underlying math on that was a strength of this application. There were also strengths of the letters from the site seeking for it to be an annual effort, and really a lot of support from the venue where the exhibition was going to be would be held. And also in there, I really like this part, the documentation of problem solving from the applicant. We all know that projects do not necessarily go smoothly as they are, as we want them to be and intended to be. So I actually think that that is a really nice addition to help strengthen the capacity, the evidence of capacity for this project to be completed. So I liked that part. Yeah, there's a lot of strong letters, and kind of showing from one of the community partners what a person can do with a vision for something, and that this particular applicant seems to be good at finding collaborators for that vision and strengthening their connections. I would like to see a little bit more about how the jury will be selected. It may have been already selected. It may be that from reading it, all of the artists have already been chosen, and kind of similar to previous projects that we have discussed, just a little bit more about how members of our community in Dane County have a chance to participate in the projects that we fund is always nice to see a little bit more. And again, statewide focus rather than a Dane County focus for the artists that will be exhibited. And I think that is, I'm also curious who the artists might be. There a little bit more information about that, and kind of their different, is it oil? Is it going to be sketches? That kind of thing, to just to see a little bit more about what the exhibition was showcasing would have been valuable.
Thanks, Amy. Lena.
Hi. I do agree with a lot of things that Amy said. I do have some remarks since I have attended the opening of this show last year. The work was diverse in there was most of the work was paintings, but there was acrylic, oils, there was a photography pieces, there was different I would say material, kind of like artwork as well. I think the exhibition was really cool, and the space is it lends itself to almost look like a gallery with the big white walls and like couple of hallways. One thing, I think it's a strong application with a lot of data. And one thing that I do want to confirm too is that Sun Prairie, as far as I know, does not have any gallery in the Sun Prairie area, and visual arts are very little represented. So I think this is a really good effort to bring more visual arts to downtown Sun Prairie, who has a growing young population. And it's a very rapidly growing city. So I was really excited to have that, to visit that exhibition and learn more about the Wisconsin artists there.
Good. Other comments or observations?
I just want to add, both Lena and Amy did a great job of reviewing, but one thing that they didn't say is that the exhibition there will be 32 artists represented in the exhibition, and that's a pretty big show. So lots of artists will get lots of exposure, and especially if it becomes an annual event.
Just to piggyback on that as well, the opening was very well visited, and it seemed like a success too.
Great, thank you. I go ahead and score. I'm going to propose that we just take a 7-minute break, so that we can end as expected at 4:15. So feel free to turn off your cameras and just join us back at 3:15.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Really fantastic reviews.
Yeah, very thoughtful. Welcome back. As soon as we get Lena and Amy here, we'll start again. And hi, Lena.
I'm here.
Hi, Amy. Okay, Carol and Rachel, you're up for this one. So this is the sixth one, music category, 26497. Con vivo, music with life, performs chamber music by Beethoven and Brahms. They are requesting $1,500, which is 23% of their budget. And we'll start with you, Carol.
Okay. So for Convivo, this is this concert is one of 3 that they do each year. And they've been doing this for 20 plus years. So they have a good record and seem to be a pretty well-oiled machine. No concerns about ability to produce the concert. The project that we're asking money for is a ticketed performance, and there will also be 2 outreach concerts. One at Capitol Lakes, which apparently is the place to be if you want to be a recipient of arts. And the other one is at a high school that compensates a little bit for the audience, generally skewing much older. The coordinators of this event are, if you look at the list of names, are local music insiders, and they know how to leverage support for Convivo among classical performers and music fans in Madison. And the other thing is they get their venue for free. And so that lowers the cost for their concert series quite a bit. This is a pretty efficient organization. They seem to know what they're doing. And the concerts themselves artistically seem a bit outside the box when it comes to music performance. So that's a plus for them. And the only other thing I have to say is that it was really nice to see such enthusiastic and genuine letters of support written on their behalf. This is cheap thrills for Dane Arts.
Rachel.
Yeah, I agree with everything Carol said. I thought this was a really strong application. There were really clear and thorough and varied plans for promotion and production and evaluation and funding. I thought, it looked great to me. I didn't really see any areas of weakness.
Any other comments or observations?
Yeah, so I guess I had a question, and like there's $3,000 for the newspaper ads, postage, invitation cards, and I had no idea what that was. And there might be a good reason. I think I saw in some of the supplemental materials some pretty elaborate like invitations going on or some references to that. So the budget narrative's blank again. So like some really hard to explain light items in the budget, and then having a blank budget narrative is just really hard to see together, because it's like I would love to see more explanation of that. What's going on with that? So just seems like an odd use of the money. And again, it's not something they're listing is covered by the grant, but it's all just money in the project.
I'm sorry, what were you pointing out in the budget? I didn't get it.
The cash expense amount, $3,000.
Oh, but they're not asking that as part of the grant.
Yeah, I mean, I do get, I acknowledge that that's not like the grant amount, but it's just part of the plan, and it's just a weird part of the plan. So I just would have liked more explanation of that. But yeah, I think other people could feel differently about that. But to me, like all the money from the whole plan moves around. So yeah, I guess that just part stood out to me. Like I would have wanted to know what that was and what's going on there.
Postage is expensive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd love to just know, like, and is it optional? Like, is it like, what's the thought process there? Like, how necessary is that to, like, are we attached to something that isn't needed? Like, what's a newspaper ad? Like, like, I don't, so yeah, that's kind of where my brain was going.
Thanks, Ben.
Full disclosure, for me, I couldn't get the FLAC file to open in the supplemental materials, so I was unable to kind of experience whatever that was going to be. I did appreciate the enthusiastic letters of support as well. It really gives a sense of what the audience experiences and benefits are. So it's always nice to hear representatives of the community that funds, public art grants to, make sure that they are getting it and love it. I felt that the materials were somewhat dated from 2012, and I guess I would like to see a little bit more range of more recent things, and that may have been from the FLAC file I couldn't open. But I just, if some of them are dated from 2012, how representative is it of what you might be presenting for this specific project? It's hard for me to tell.
Thank you. All right, please take some time to score and submit.
All right, we've got them all. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right, number 7, music category again, 26514, the Hawthorne Neighborhood Music Association. Their summer concert series of 4 concerts. They are requesting $2,085, which is basically 50% of their budget. And we'll start with you, Lena.
Hi. Like you said, they are planning to hold 3 outdoor concerts over the summer at the gazebo at the Hawthorne Elementary School. They plan on using local bands and beginner musicians, and keep it lower volume and family friendly. They would start on Madison Music Days on June 21st. And then they would follow every 2 weeks with 3 additional concerts. They seem like they have been struggling, the whole neighborhood has been struggling with the past negative reputation. And this is an effort to bring music and shine some light on this neighborhood and give it a better reputation, I guess. Some things that I am curious about is it says that they will track attendance and ask for people to complete short feedback forms. And they would ask, so, okay, feedback for bands, that's doable, but when you have, I'm just curious about how they plan on doing it, as it's an outdoor kind of concert. I'm not really sure how how they plan on tracking attendance and getting those feedback forms. They also say they hope to see increased attendance to their meetings for the neighborhood association. I'm not sure how that relates to arts, but I understand the need for all neighbors to be part of the process and to make the neighborhood better. Another thing that I wanted to say is that this is their second year. So it does seem doable. It seems like they managed to do it last year, and there's good supplemental material that gives them good reviews. But I think that the budget could use some more clarification because it's a little bit vague, and it seems like they rely heavy on getting this grant to fund the whole event. So I'm just a little bit worried there at if what would happen if we don't give them full grant. Would they be able to do this? That's one concern. And the other is they say that they put a statement in there that reads this way: by providing music that represents the diversity of the neighborhood, we hope to serve an audience of Hispanic, Black, Hmong, white, LGBTQ, and all ages. What I'm curious to know more about is diversity of bands hired and hired musicians. Is the music being played just being diverse, or are they actually hiring diverse musicians? I would like to see, I think that would make this application stronger. If you're serving these communities, I would like to see a list of potential musicians that are diverse and that can kind of support that statement. Overall, I think it's a good initiative to shine light on it seems like a neglected neighborhood, and I think that it is doable, but yes, those are some of my concerns.
Thanks, Lena. Ben.
Yeah, and I think Lena did a great job of giving an overview, so I'll try and like focus on things I happen to notice or that stuck out to me that might have been a little different. So I think similar to what you said about their goal, it sounded like they wanted to increase the cohesion of the neighborhood because they feel that a lot of people are moving in, and it's part of the Northeast plan from the city that we're going to be investing a lot in the infrastructure there and moving a lot more people into that whole area. So recognizing that, they're wanting to think about how they can make their neighborhood more cohesive, and they want arts to be a big part of that. I think that is really great as a goal. And I don't think everything that they're doing then contributes to that goal. And so I think that's kind of one of the areas that's not as strong here. Something like, yeah, the mention of the Northeast plan and how like that area is identified by the city as being one in the future that will have a lot of cultural influence was interesting to me, and it sent me on a rabbit trail hunting down that Northeast plan. And I didn't really see a lot of discussion of that in the culture section of that, so I don't know exactly where that was coming from. I think, like Lena said, like it'd be interesting to know more about who the artists are. You mentioned the diversity aspect. I think for the geographic aspect, like, are these people who are from this area? And so if the goal is have a long-term impact on the amount of arts in that neighborhood, let's have people from that area or neighborhood, or that would be something that I think would contribute to that. So that would be good. Maybe that's the case. I just can't tell from the info there right now. I think some other things that I was noticing, yeah, the supplemental material I didn't think gave me a good sense of it. Like I could see the gazebo and see the setup there, but it just didn't look like a lot of people were there. So I don't think it presented the best face for the show either. So I don't know if that was like the beginning or end, but it's something to consider when putting that together. Also, some big parts of the plan weren't mentioned in the plan, and I had to infer them from some of the letters and supplemental material. Like there's going to be a food truck there, it seems, because that was part of the budget. It's like $30 for water. Like, wait, $30 for water? It's July. Like, what are people going to be drinking? Like, if there's no concessions or plan for that. And then I think the plan is going to be a food truck that would then offer that stuff. But if that's not really laid out anywhere, and so that's kind of, I want to see that in the budget. Or some explanation of that, also just to make sure you're planning for like people to have water and stuff like that. And I think similar with the bathroom plan that was mentioned there too, and there was some talk of like, well, if the relationship with the school falls through, we'll rent a porta potty. So I think I would lean towards just go ahead and include that in the budget as part of the plan to make sure that the whole project is taken care of. And then if you are getting a windfall from that relationship later, that can be reapportion. That's kind of what I would be thinking there. Yeah, those are some of the other things I noticed.
Thanks, Ben. Other thoughts?
I did want to point out that this is a first-time applicant, and so the person is clearly not a professional grant writer. And so I think we all recognize that there were a lot of questions unanswered in the proposal. But I'm choosing to focus more on the value of the event for the neighborhood. This is a very diverse neighborhood on the far east side. It's bisected by East Washington Avenue, so I'm not surprised that they have trouble, getting the neighborhood together. They don't have a lot of money from fundraising at this point, but I do want to point out that they have a grant from Madison Art Commission pending, so that's a plus for them. I think my one concern is whether the coordinator will have sufficient volunteers and staff to pull this off. But again, I think for me, the importance of this event to the neighborhood just weighs a little bit more over the grant writing skill here. I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt for a good neighborhood event.
Rachel, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, maybe to respond a little bit to Carol and also to echo some things that Lena and Ben said. It seemed like from the supplemental materials, from the photos, 100 is kind of pushing it for audience size. I mean, it seemed like there were maybe 10 people there in the photos, and maybe that's not a good representation, but it wasn't clear to me how valuable this was for the community based on what they provided in their supplemental materials. And then also, I think since this is a concert series, it would be, we need to know like at least how the bands are being found, if not who they are and where they're coming from. I think that's really an important piece that's missing from this application.
I had several of the similar questions that have already been brought up. I know that Beth Kyle was one of the letter writers, and in that letter, she mentioned that she was one of the people who did it last year. I do want to say we do have a lot of questions about if this level is going to be able to be pulled off this year, but she did do it last year, and I don't know that she had any funding. So I just want to keep that in mind for us. And I think that part of how she wants to grow is through this grant. For me, this type of and the MAC grant. And I see the efforts of seeking additional sources of funding in order to grow it. I do hope the food truck is there. Maybe that's an additional strategy for drawing people in. I too noticed the smaller attendance in the supplemental materials and had questions about how the bands were being chosen and the et cetera. For me, this type of application really kind of, it seems to be the essence of how we use our public funding to support our community via the arts and thereby supporting our local artists. And so to me, reading through this, definitely had some questions, some limitations, which I'd seen some different things. I like that she did it once last year, but I like the idea of what she's trying to do with bringing the community together. And that may be why the increased attendance at the community or the neighborhood meetings was a part of what she was part of in the evaluation plan as an indicator of success, because trying to engage the neighborhood is part of what she is actually trying to do in the listed goals. So that link happened there for me. Again, I might be reading into it just because there are a few pieces that aren't quite there that I wish would be as well, but just wanted to add that for this particular application.
Thank you. Lots to think about. Please score the proposal and submit it.
All right, all reviews have been received. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 8, Multidisciplinary Arts and Culture, 26521. From the front row, The Heart of the Earth, the Madison Choral Project, and from the front row at Cave of the Mounds. Requesting 2,820, which is nearly 40% of their budget. And we'll start with you, Amy.
Thanks. So first of all, I apologize because I actually thought we had till 4:45. Till 4:15 was mentioned. My main takeaway from this particular application is that it is a really exciting event, but I am left with a lot of questions on who's being showcased and a few other things. So this is a proposal to have a local Madison choir perform at the Cave of the Mounds in the actual cave. Highly unique local venue that is in Dane County, kind of right at the edge. I know that they have had music there before. They're a very supportive venue. I've had conversations with them, and I know that they're very excited about doing that. And it would provide a very unique environment for the music, especially for this choir. So that part is exciting. They intend to, the limitations are it's an extremely small number of people who can then actually experience it live because of the unique venue, right? You're literally in a cave. There's only so many chairs you're going to be able to have. So that was a limitation for me. They're going to live stream it on their YouTube channel. And also it looks like they've got some connections to promote it on public television in a series. And I was somewhat caught up on the emphasis on the documentation in the application and did a lot of reflecting on kind of the argument for documentation of the arts being something very important to fund, and been kind of chewing on that. And I look forward to hearing other folks' thoughts about it. Great name for the project. I think there's a strong likelihood that the public will be very interested, but not be able to attend. The degree to which they will then engage with the YouTube live stream or later the national public television stream, I'm not sure. And the gap between experiencing it live in the cave and having those choral just waves of music kind of wash into your body in that environment versus, seeing it on a screen it's very, very different. There are a number of tickets that will be available. So I think there's basically 30 tickets. Half of them will be given away. If I'm recalling, it's to school groups. It was a little unclear how the public could access those free tickets. So I had curiosities there. And I from the application, unfortunately, I just don't know enough about the band that's actually being showcased, the musicians that are being showcased. So there was kind of a lot of emphasis on front row and the series itself rather than the specific project here of this specific choir, like, why this theme of the earth and celebrating the earth? Kind of, what do you hope it will do for our community? What you want our community to experience while you're there? How are you hoping it will impact us all? I'm left with a lot of those types of questions. I do notice that there are some in the budget, some in-kind reductions kind of by the choir is taking a smaller amount. Other folks, I like that this person is going to use local production people for, so more peripheral, like not direct artists, but like videographers will be supported because those folks are important in our arts economy too. It doesn't necessarily look like the producer is taking a reduced fee in the ways that the musicians are. And folks can correct me if I got the wrong impression there. And that, so I'm kind of reflecting on that as well. The venue is doing a reduced rate space rental. So there's some investment here. And again, exciting project. Boy, I want to be there for it. I certainly would like to experience it personally. There was a little more emphasis on the series than the specific project than I'd like to see. And I wish I knew a lot more about the specific choir and what they were doing, and my, like listening to what they might sing, we don't know from the application, etc. Why is it related to the theme? Are there ecological things you're trying to do? Just a lot of remaining questions about the purpose and goals.
Thanks, Amy. Carol.
It's the Madison Choral Project will present a program of Earth-themed choral songs. But I don't think that the concert is the focus here. Part of this, so one of the things, well, they certainly win points for being for a concert in a cave, but even if most of the audience will be somewhere else live streaming it. But I think if I'm remembering reading this application last year, so since the last time we read from the front requesting funding, the series, this concert is part of a series, has been picked up by public television. So the main audience will be national, not necessarily Dane County residents. And I think the goal is not necessarily to feature performers. Well, I think that there's three goals: to feature Wisconsin performers, and to feature Wisconsin venues, and to promote Wisconsin. I think it's three goals for this project. It's certainly, I know the producer, have known the producer for a long time, and it's certainly experienced professionals putting this together. I think one of my concerns is that they don't really have a funding model that supports what they want to do, which is a long-term series going around Wisconsin, doing performers and venues and promotion of Wisconsin. I was a little surprised or distressed even to see that the front row owners will make up deficits in income out of pocket. There is a mention in the budget of $2,500 in underwriting as being pending, but no specifics given in the budget notes as to they're thinking about getting underwriting or they're close to getting underwriting. That would be interesting to know, since this, the request to Dane County would be 39% of their total budget. So that's a good chunk of it. So I think I'll stop now.
Any other thoughts or comments?
Yeah, I think some of the points made about like the goals being, definitely not like focused just on Madison, definitely true. I'd say I wasn't too bothered by the amount of admin time and money in the budget. I think for the size of the project, like looked at what other projects require there. But yeah, I think maybe they could have gone in more detail about like what all that admin work entails and like what would justify that. So I think those could have been some things to add there. I think the point about, yeah, the sustainability of this long term is interesting. It'd be good to know. Like, I almost wish maybe it's thoughts for the project of like if we could get updates closer, like since the applications, because I don't know if there have been changes since then that would change like what happened with the syndication or something like that.
I think this is the second and maybe third in my memory time that From the Front has come to Dane Arts for funding.
Oh, I just meant like if the syndication opened up other funding opportunities or something like that, like what impact that is, because it doesn't look like that was incorporated here. So yeah.
I think I had an additional question on whether or not the music would be religious music, since that was one of the examples, which could be fine. That could be maybe one of the, kind of stated goal of diversity of perspectives that was in the grant application, but I do want to know.
Thank you. And again, feel free to add some of those suggestions to your comments. If we don't have any other observations to share, we'll go ahead and score and submit.
They're all in, all the reviews. I do want to make a note on time. My apologies. I originally asked everyone to hold their calendars till 4:45. And then when I made the agenda, I realized we probably didn't need that much time. So the contradiction in timing is my fault. Just we have less grants to review than typical, so I was being a little generous with the amount of time originally and then realized we probably don't need all of it. So
I
yeah.
think we're in great shape, Augusta. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, number 9, our second to last one. This is Arts and Education 26556. This is David Alvarez Gill presenting a photographic traveling exhibit across Dane County about the endangered Iberian lynx and local wildlife, asking $2,000, which is 33% of his budget. And we'll start with you, Rachel.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a traveling photo exhibit, and the artist has really stressed that it's a bilingual exhibit. He's a bilingual artist. He noted that there's going to be, in addition to the traveling exhibit, um, some bilingual educational panels, community events like artist talks, guided tours, workshops. The exhibit is going to be going on from January 15th to March 30th, and then it's going to be traveling to a couple of different locations across Dane County. So Fitchburg Public Library, Monona Public Library, Children's Library downtown, Reach Dane, the Weisman Center. And the photography, like Mary said, is featuring the endangered Iberian lynx, excuse me, and local wildlife. I wasn't sure what he meant by local wildlife because I don't think the Iberian lynx is local to Dane County, so I'm not really sure where, if it's local to, I'm assuming like Spain and Europe. And the goal of this project is to raise awareness about conservation and to make connections between the Latinx bilingual communities in Madison and environmental causes, I'm assuming in Wisconsin. It's a free event to attend. He was estimating that the attendance would be approximately 2,000 people. I thought this was a really unique project. The work samples were really cool, really great photos. And I really appreciated that it was across a wide range of community venues and offering a lot of different opportunities for different communities to get involved with this project. I thought the promotional plan was a little bit vague. He didn't reference any specific newsletters or media sources that were going to be promoting this exhibit. and the evaluation methods were also a little bit vague and poorly defined. And then one major area of concern for me was that the only other anticipated source of funding was a GoFundMe that was pending. And it didn't look like he had plans to seek out any other funding sources.
Thank you, Lena. We've got you on mute, Lena. It's okay.
Apologies.
It's all right.
I agree with everything Rachel had to say. I do like the idea of this project, and I like the educational part of it as well. One question that I have is, I don't know if I missed it somewhere, is will these photographs be for sale, or is it just for educational exhibit? And if it is for sale, how does that, I don't know, how does that work? And then one note, the same note as Rachel said is, while this beautiful animals extinction is really important, I don't see how it relates to Dane County, as the animal's natural habitat is in Europe. I believe that it would be a stronger application if maybe the photographs focused more on the extinction of the species in Wisconsin. That's just one thing, but I do think the photographs are cool, and I think it would be fun to see and learn something. And that said, I do think the natural world is connected in so many ways beyond borders and continents, and I think that learning about other species and animals that live in different countries expands our minds. So it could be beneficial in that way, in an educational way, to the Dane County residents. And it seems like it's tailored towards younger population, which could be really, and also really cool for kids, and to see something like that and learn about this interesting animal. But yeah, those are my notes.
Thanks, Lena. Other comments? Carol.
Well, it bothers me less that the Iberian lynx is not a Dane County species, because this exhibit is, well, first of all, it's bilingual, so it's going to appeal to a huge audience. Public library, two public libraries and the Children's Museum just get enormous pass-through audiences. And I think the core of the project is that it teaches about environmental education. So it matters less to me that the lynx doesn't live here. It's just about how we preserve our species. But it's also an art exhibit. The photography was fabulous that he presented. And so I think there's an audience to go to this exhibit for the artwork, as art, seeing art photography as well. I do worry a little bit about funding through GoFundMe. So I'm a big I would love to give this, this project is pretty much a one-person show. And so I'm hoping Dane Arts will find its way to give it a substantial funding for something that I think will really benefit a huge audience around the county. Fitchburg and Monona, just want to say that, and the Waisman Center. So this fellow's really thought about where he can reach people.
I like your insights. It gave me a different perspective. So yeah, I think it could be really beneficial. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, I wanted to,
Yeah.
I was chime in a little bit. I think this is a great example of where I had questions in the budget as I was going through the lines. Then I got to the budget narrative and it addressed almost all of them. So I think that was great. So I think that was a good use of that. The area of improvement or just opportunity, or just tell us more about it, is like the bilingual emphasis there. I saw the bilingual emphasis and I can see the images of the links, but like, what is that component? Like, is this literally going to be like educational where kids are going to be able to connect like the words in two different languages? Is it like a program that people are carrying around and learning? Like if that's going to be emphasized so heavily and the application is emphasized very heavily, like I want to see the examples or get more of a picture of how that comes into play.
Anyone else? All right, let's score and submit, and we'll go to our last one.
Thanks, everybody. The scores have been received.
Okay, this is our last proposal. It is dance category and 26565. It's the Hmong Family Society with their Hmong dance program. They are requesting $2,300, which is 46% of their budget. And we'll start with you, Ben.
Thanks. Yeah, so this is the Hmong Roots and Rhythm program. It's going to be a show. My understanding from the grant is that it's an opportunity for these 4 dance troupes of students who have been learning to different dances. They
Yeah.
sometimes travel around. Yep.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Augusta, can you clarify which of they submitted 2 proposals? And I want to make sure we're looking at the right one.
Yeah, Hmong Roots and Rhythm.
Oh, it's the
Let's
Roots
see.
and Rhythm.
Yeah, $2,300 request.
Ben, I'm so sorry. I wrote down the wrong one. So you are talking about the correct one. Please go ahead.
Okay. No,
I'm
thank
glad
you.
because I could have messed it up, but I think you all have Hmong Roots and Rhythm.
That's a good thing because that's the one I read.
Okay, good.
Whew, okay.
Sorry, Ben.
Oh, that's
Carry
great. If it
on.
was, yeah, if I'm off, I want to know as soon as possible.
Yeah,
So
carry
yeah.
on.
So yeah, to me, a show, there are 4 different dance groups of students. They've had programs that they've been traveling around with or doing for other purposes. And really the stated goal of this show is just on the face of it, to give it that opportunity for people who might be stuck locally or couldn't follow some of those traveling shows around or go to some of those programs to be able to have an appreciation of that show. So they know that their primary audience is friends, family, people in the networks of the students for the show. It is going to be publicly accessible. They will be selling tickets there, but their primary goal is to really serve that community that's surrounding the students. They have some good partnerships with local Hmong organizations. I think that was something that was explained in the grant, but it could have been like I'd love to know more about those organizations and how they're going to help and what that outreach could look like. I think the financial plan looked reasonable, like they're basing on previous years and how much people would donate in the past and what their past ticket sales look like, which for them knowing that it's family and friends and people in that network, that's going to be pretty reliable, that it's going to scale with that number of students pretty predictably there. So that's helpful. So I saw a pretty good variety in funding sources there. Let's see. I think the funds requested were focused very much on the honoraria and the space. So they're in that My Arts Center. So it's beautiful space, really good, easily accessible for people on the bus line. Like, yeah, very easy to get to there. So I think that's a good one to choose for that. I think something interesting I noticed in the budget is just the amount for the videography kind of looks like if you had to take like the amount they're requesting off the table, that's what would be on the chopping block to me, is that videography. And I didn't see any explanation, like, because the rest of the show could absolutely happen without that amount. It's just mostly pays for videography. And then I just would have liked to see an explanation like, oh, like, how does that get used? In the supplemental materials, we had some videography from some of the other shows, so I could infer that. But is this going to be accessible to the families later? Is this going to be available to other people? Like, is this instructional maybe, or do they review it? So if that's going to be kind of, it feels to me a lot of what the difference maker we're making here for their budget, I'd love to just know more about how that's being used. But I think some of the strengths, like a lot of students impacted, it's really cool to see even just from the coaches of these dance teams, the number of dance teams they've added, that they're creating a pipeline of their students in the program, and then they become coaches, and that's a bridge to maybe they could start other programs elsewhere or do other things with their dance career. That's really cool to see. So I think that made me feel really good about us funding that. And then, yeah, them just having a very clear idea of the audience. It is publicly accessible, but they know who they're advertising to and have plans to reach out to the community. Yeah, again, yeah, the only like area for improvement is just tell us more about the videography. I can assume it's used for something useful, but like, yeah, be good to know. That's what stood out to me.
Thanks, Ben. Amy.
I'm really excited about this one as well. I think, again, it is a really great example of using public funds to strengthen the community. Again, in Sun Prairie, I don't know a lot about the dance scene in Sun Prairie, other than performing a dance show in Sun Prairie in 2023 myself. But other than running something there, I don't know if it is an underserved area specifically for this art form or this particular cultural expression. I really love that they are using that the project is emphasizing multiple levels of skill, right? All the way from introductory and little kids, and also multiple ages. The model of using peers and expert guest teachers as well really does a great job to create role models and aspirational efforts. So in terms of both being able to showcase like expertise in this particular art form, it really gets the little ones being excited about remaining culture bearers. And that really has a lot of value. I liked being able to see the instruction as well in the supplemental materials, as well as competition level videos. So I thought that that was very strong as well in terms of their submission. I'm just checking my notes a little bit as well. I thought it was a pretty clear description of what the project provides and, you know, how that's different than the standard dance programming. Those cross-age interactions are really precious. You know, this is my developmental psychology coming in here as well as my dance understanding, but it really is precious to keep kids engaged, and then they look to each other. They look to the teens, the little ones look to the teens to want to be able to continue in the art form and to feel like the cultural expression is cool and to become the culture bearers. So I think we're doing more than just funding the dance performance and classes with this, and that has a lot of value to me.
Nice. Any other thoughts or comments?
I think this is a very important project and I fully support funding. I think in today's world where a lot of cultures and identities are getting blended and erased, I think preserving some tradition and something that you bring on to younger generations in your community to pass on and carry on with them, I think it's really important.
Thank you, Lena. Carol.
Amy, I just wanted to rehear something I think you said. The group is in Sun Prairie, but the performance is downtown Madison at the My Arts.
Right. The My Arts. Thank you
At
for
the
the clarity.
at the My Arts building. So the only other thing that I think would have helped a really well-written proposal, I think, is that they're asking for almost 50% of their total budget, and they mention seeking sponsors. And I think it would have helped if they had given a little more information about whether they've had sponsors in the past, so we know, oh, they're likely to get them this time, or whether seeking sponsors is is a reach for them and we have to fret about it. Because even if Dane Arts awards them the whole grant, they're still going to, have a long way to go before they can meet budget.
I think it's a valid question. To me, one of the supplemental materials from the letter from the previous sponsor of a dance team was very helpful for answering that question for me. It might be a little bit different of sponsoring the dance team than the show. And that person, I think, was from Appleton as well.
Yeah,
Did you-
I'll say I wasn't too concerned about the funding sources. Like they were basing that off previous show attendance and previous donations there. So and they even had some room. I think it was interesting. That was kind of one of the first times I'd seen like a budget for like emergency in there too, but they had some buffer in their budget as well for other things to come up, it looked like. But yeah, I also saw like just the room for if our whole grant fell through, what goes is that videography money. So the program would be successful for their goal.
I was so curious what the emergency was for as well. Like thought maybe the grant narrative would answer it. There was just one other place, and they might be a first-time applicant as well, where they had initially said that they weren't necessarily expecting anyone 60 plus, but later in the narrative they did describe wanting to make sure that the elders were wanting to be able to perform for the elders as part of kind of the focus of the project grant. So I'm betting that they do actually have a percentage that is the 60 plus just in that listed age range.
Yeah, somehow that was an oopsie. I noticed too.
Great. Why don't you take time to score, and then we have a few comments and questions to wrap up.
Congratulations, all the applications have been scored, so your job is complete.
Thank you. Just want to express gratitude for your incredible thoughtfulness. This was a fascinating conversation to listen to. Attention to detail, the suggestions you're making, the recommendations, and your appreciation and celebration of these projects and these artists in our county. Amy and all of you, you are welcome to attend the on-site visits. And if you would like help from us in getting you a comp ticket, just reach out to